Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast.
I'm Ken Chester. This one is an interesting odd that I wanted to share with you in transportation. Let me ask you a question. Would you willingly buy a 25-year-old car? Thought so. Well, what if it was low mileage? And no, I'm not talking about a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, or some kind of normal classic car that you would identify. I'm actually talking about 25-year-old cars from Japan and Europe. Let me explain. And it's a new used car phenomenon that's catching the country. Up till now, roughly 200 vehicles like this legally been imported a year. This year, they are on track to import 20,000 of these. And as a result, it's developed kind of a new breed of used car dealer that is catering to what they're calling, and I quote, the fast and furious generation. And they're doing that because of the success of that franchise, which is now over 20 years old. And fun fact, I was in Florida 20 years ago when they were filming the first one. And I actually saw part of that filming along one of Florida's interstate highways, which was way cool. I'll never forget it. It was down just outside of Miami where they were filming. What we're talking about are vehicles you've never heard of. A tiny red Suzuki Cappuccino, a Toyota Arisos, a Mazda Lantis, a Toyota Crown Royal Saloon, and an AutoZam micro truck. These are showing up. And the reason why you didn't recognize any of those names didn't quite fit, because none of them were able to be sold new in the United States when they were new. And all of these were built in the late 1980s, 1990s. So what's going on? Let me explain. These vehicles available that were built in the 80s and 90s, Japanese vehicles and some European vehicles, did not meet federal safety and emission standards. And they could not be registered in the United States by law until they turned 25 years old and were treated as collectibles. And now, that golden age of Japanese design and engineering, as more vehicles become available, more are being imported in the United States. In fact, the Japanese domestic market cars are some of the fastest growing segments of the specialty used car market. So you're thinking, okay, 25-year-old car, it's got to be kind of decrepit, right? Kind of raggedy, right? No. Reason being, Japan has very strict inspection laws and low annual mileages. Check this out. Most of those 25-year-old vehicles that are being imported from Japan only have between 40 and 60,000 miles on the odometer legally. Think about that. My Equinox, which I haven't driven lately because I've been driving vehicles to review, has 80,000, and it's a 2018. These are 25 years old and have between 40 to 60,000 miles. Now, let's talk about the reality of this. Now, these cute, neat, smaller vehicles, it's not like you're going to have parts and service support for them. So that's the first question. Second question is, you're not paying BMW and Mercedes Classic money for them. You're not paying Mecum, auto auction money for these. You're probably paying less than $20,000, or even a little less than that, for a cute-looking, well-made, 25-year-old vehicle with less mileage than the average used car in the United States. So there's the wow factor of having something pretty cool that nobody else has, and that's certainly an advantage. But I'm thinking, and the article in Automotive News really doesn't deal with it, about the disadvantage of, okay, even a low mileage vehicle needs parts, needs service. And I am importing a vehicle that was never sold here new. So there's not a junkyard full of this stuff. That's not happening. So if I don't have that, if it's domestic home, and chances are it might be a Japanese domestic right-hand drive vehicle on top of everything else, so there's that. How do I get parts for this thing? How do I make sure that I keep it running, just the normal keep it running? Spark plug wires, mufflers, exhaust pipes, consumables like thermostats and fan belts and things like that. How do I do that? Article doesn't talk about that. Now, most of these, and the article admits readily that most of these are not daily drivers. You know, this is great for, rolling it out for cars and coffee because it's the wow factor and it's cool and nobody else has one. So it's good to get, that kind of view. So you're rolling it. But even at that low mileage, they still, you gotta service them. You gotta deal with them. You gotta change fluids and rotate tires and things like that. What do you do? Because right now in the United States, there's no infrastructure. The dealers that sell these, that import them and sell them, don't necessarily offer repair services or stock parts. What do you do? And the article doesn't address that at all. Because, see, I think like that. I'm like, yeah, this could be really cool and a lot of fun. And I'm thinking about one particular car I saw pictures of that Nissan only made 1 year. And it was a super cute little car that looked really cute that would be great to, tool around on the weekends if you were like living in Southern California or something. But again, needs attention. You're going to have to deal with it. And then you've got at the other end of the extreme, you've got vehicles like an opulent black 1997 Toyota Century, powered by, ready for this, a silent running V12 engine. Where in the United States do you find somebody that could even look at this motor if it needs some attention? Toyota doesn't sell them. There is no knowledge in the Toyota hierarchy stateside for that motor or that car because it's not sold here. It was never sold here. And it's 25 years old. So anybody who might have known about it isn't around or has lost that knowledge. But yet, this group of Japanese domestic cars that are 25 years old or older with 40 to 60,000 miles on it is a growing segment. Like I said, from fewer than 300 in 2009 to around 20,000 this year. And everybody that this article talked to in Automotive News expects that number to increase. I don't know. I mean, I like the novelty of it, and I certainly think it would be really cool, but 25 years old? I mean, yes, I know that Japanese cars have a heck of a reputation, but they still need parts and they still need service. And if they were built in Japan and sold in Japan and then suddenly imported over here 25 years later, who do I call? What do I turn to when she don't want to run or she has a problem? Or there's an issue. I don't know. Old cars from the United Kingdom and Germany make up the bulk of the rest of the 25-year-old vehicles entering the U.S., with Land Rovers, Mini Coopers, BMWs, and Porsches being popular private imports. A 25-year-old BMW, no thank you. I would take the chance with the Mini Cooper, the Land Rovers, and BMW. No, I wouldn't, because I'm thinking about the electricals. If they go sideways, you in trouble, buddy. Big trouble. And yeah, the car I was thinking about, the cute little car I've seen pictures of, was the Nissan Figaro, a tiny retro-styled car patterned after post-war European subcompacts. Way cool. Next is my review of the 2024 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio crossover SUV. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the main place to be these days, and we are no exception. I'm Ken Chester, the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Facebook videos. From my latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary of a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Facebook. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.
Of all the cars, on all the roads, there's one unconventional choice. An Alfa Romeo with 4 doors. The Milano. Its extraordinary aluminum V6 muscles up to 183 horsepower, and its provocative style will take you where you've never been before. The Alfa Romeo Milano, driven to be different.
That vehicle was sold in the United States through about 1995. The 164. Well, I'm sorry, 1995. Absolutely. Alfa Romeo Automobiles, SPA, unknown in many parts of the United States, the nameplate has a history that goes back over 120 years. This Italian luxury car maker is generally known for its sports-oriented vehicles, strong auto racing heritage, which goes back to the founding days of the company, and iconic design. Through its ups and downs of its long history, it's been at times an independent company, a state-owned company, a Fiat-owned company, and now is a subsidiary of Stellantis Europe and one of the 14 brands of the multinational automotive company Stellantis, formerly PSA Group, Adam Opel, Peugeot, and Fiat Chrysler. Over time, Alfa Romeo has become better known for producing mass-market vehicles that blended the aesthetics and performance of sport and luxury marquees. As far as the American automotive marketplace, Alfa Romeo has been here twice. Originally imported in the United States starting in the mid-1950s by Max Hoffman, Alfa Romeo left the United States in 1995. That commercial you just heard of the 164 was the model that they were selling when they pulled out. About 11 years later, in 2006, Alfa Romeo was reintroduced into the American marketplace, with sales resuming in late 2008. This review is about the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, a mid-size crossover SUV introduced by the nameplate in 2016 as a 2017 model. First revealed at the 2016 Los Angeles Auto Show, Stelvio is positioned above the Tonale in the lineup. In 2018, in fact, it was Alfa Romeo's best-selling model with roughly 43,000 sold that year. Let that sink in for a minute. 43,000. Alfa Romeo is still considered a boutique brand. And remember, this was their best seller. The regular Stelvio is offered in 4 trim levels. The Stelvio Quadrifoglio is considered by the automaker to be a separate model as opposed to merely a trim level. And I should pause here and explain the one thing that you'll immediately notice about any Alfa Romeo that is tagged as a Quadrifoglio model. The logo, which resembles a clover leaf in a white triangle, and it's usually found in the front fenders of the vehicle. And that's any Alfa Romeo that has that designation. So let me explain. Since 1923, the Quadrifoglio logo has been the symbol of Alfa Romeo racing cars, and since World War II has been also used to designate the higher trim level models of the range, trim models of the range. By 1970, the logo had come to signify the trim level for each model's sportiest variant equipped with its most powerful engine. Offered in 3 trim levels and boasting a major refresh for the 2023 model year, the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio is generated by an all-aluminum 2.9-liter gasoline twin turbocharged V6 prime mover, that's a mouthful, that makes 505 horsepower and 443 foot-pounds of torque. That's a lot. The energy is communicated to all 4 wheels because for this model, all-wheel drive is standard, and it goes through a robust 8 HP 75 8-speed automatic transmission with aluminum steering column mounted paddle shifters. Cargo capacity is 56.5 cubic feet with the rear seat folded flat. EPA fuel economy is 17 city, 23 highway. Premium unleaded gasoline is required. You gotta love it. Here's what I liked about the vehicle. And this statement, so you know, is in all caps. This is the kind of performance that you expect from any vehicle identified as an Alfa Romeo, full stop. The Stelvio is a performance sedan that is adroitly disguised as a mid-size crossover SUV. The Stelvio Quadrifoglio delivers the type of handling and on-road performance that will put and keep a smile on the driver's face. Optimized for the driver experience, this Alfa starts with a unitized high-strength steel body with aluminum front and rear vehicle frames, front shock absorbers, brakes, suspension components, doors, fenders, hood, roof, and composite rear cross member. Even the drive shaft has been reimagined, being made of carbon fiber, which is lighter than steel but just as strong. What is the bottom line of all that lightweighting? By lightweighting a vehicle like that allows you to tune, ultra-tune, and tune the suspension for optimum handling, optimum performance. You get to retune your engine, you get to retune your suspension system, and you can literally dial it in to a pinpoint when you've lightened the vehicle that much because you're not carrying that much weight, which causes inertia and a delay in driver response or vehicle response to driver inputs. So that's why the big deal. Pirelli P0 255 45 R20 tires in front and the larger 285 40 R20 rubber at the rear assures that the Stelvio Quadrifoglio will remain connected to terra firma even in the midst of spirited driving. Given its body style, the Stelvio Quadrifoglio also offers occupants the benefits of a large, well-shaped cargo area as well as a panoramic sunroof. Here's what I didn't like about the vehicle. First and foremost, there's no spare tire. In this unique case where the vehicle actually has 2 different tire sizes, front and back, I'm really not sure what the reasonable solution would be here. Run flats, maybe? While I'm satisfied with much of the layout of the displays, controls, and switchgear, there are 2 things that stand out as being quirky and perhaps downright dangerous to the average driver. The overlong paddle shifters that may get in the way of other steering column-mounted controls, and the placement of the start-stop button on the steering wheel. And I know it's an Alfa icon, but really? Just makes me crazy. So here's the bottom line. Real performance, regardless of nameplate or make, costs money. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio is no exception. Stylish, fast, versatile. This one personifies the brand in a way that most motorists will appreciate and perhaps even aspire to. And in my estimation, despite a few shortcomings, this one is worth a test drive. The manufacturer suggested retail price for the 2024 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio midsize crossover SUV starts from $87,870 for the base, if you can call it that, Quadrifoglio, to $95,030 for the Stelvio Quadrifoglio Supersport. Destination charges add $1,595. Again, performance is going to cost you. This thing is all about the performance. It was a lot of fun to drive, and it's versatile. You actually can use it to do something. It's not a two-passenger. You should check it out and see if you believe like I do. I laughed when Hyundai first announced plans to launch a luxury brand. I'm not laughing now. This is the Tech Mobility Show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. Back in 2007, when Hyundai first announced that they were planning to launch a luxury nameplate, I laughed. And I wasn't alone. I mean, who would dare compete with the likes of Lexus and Audi and Mercedes-Benz and a host of other competitors? Lowly Hyundai? Really? That's what we thought. I had a good laugh. However, since its launch in 2016 as a separate standalone brand apart from Hyundai, I stopped laughing. And then there was the incident at the 2017 New York Auto Show that I witnessed with my own eyes, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Bottom line, Genesis is on a roll. This is Topic B. 2017. I was at the New York Auto Show Media Days. Genesis, which was then struggling to get out of the shadow of larger Hyundai, its parent, was in the process of broadening out its lineup. They had a few sedans that were amazing. They were introducing their first crossover SUV, the GV80. The day and the moment that they introduced that vehicle, they broke the New York Auto Show. Everything came to a standstill. People swarmed it. People came from all over that floor at the Jacob Javits Center, Convention Center, to look at the vehicle. I will never forget it. It was unlike anything any of us had seen. It was a beautiful interior. And at the time, they were boasting a twin-turbo, non-internal combustion engined power plant. It was going to be awesome. And the GV80 that they introduced was awesome. Not nearly as awesome as the concept car, but was still awesome. And then paved the way for the GV70, the GV60, the freshened sedans that they bring out. Basically, while Genesis doesn't build a lot of vehicles, if you've ever experienced any of them, it is an experience. It is an amazing experience. To give you a full idea, full disclosure, this screensaver on my computer at home is a Genesis GV70 electrified. Just to give you an idea, it is that good. It's just they're amazing vehicles. And honestly, their smaller GV60, which is a pure electric with boost mode, will blow your socks off. When I had one for review, the first one that I got, I've test driven two. I took a friend of mine who was a city cop that lived in our building for a ride. And we pressed boost. And he was blown away, quite literally. That thing is fast. But they're well made. And the beautiful part about all the Genesis vehicles is while they've been influenced by the competitors, they still have their own identity. They're stylish. They're comfortable. They're modern. The interior is literally a study in where luxury is going in the future. You look at the inside of a Genesis and you see the future, but in a way that you can use it. Everything is modern and upscale and tasteful and well worth the luxury feel, taste, experience that you would expect from a luxury vehicle. Recent automotive news article says that now an established luxury brand, and remember, they're only 9 years old, Genesis is refining strategy to win loyal customers. All I'm going to tell you is if you ever get a chance to ride in one or drive one, you'll want to own one. I can tell you that. And in fact, they even admit it. Our biggest challenge right now is meeting new customers and introducing ourselves. But once you experience Genesis, it's a pretty cool thing. And that was Ash Corson, Genesis Director of Product Planning, told Automotive News last month. They're getting ready to introduce performance variants for dedicated electric models under a new sub-brand called Magma. I don't even know. The existing ones are fast. I've driven everything that Genesis offers. There ain't a slow one in the bunch, whether it be gasoline powered or electric powered. The only thing I would really like from them is more range. I would really like maybe double the range and we would be good. So Genesis, if you're listening, increasing the range, yeah, I'm there now. I'd be, totally there. They're in the process of a freshening across its core 80 series vehicles, and they're adding a hybrid to every model except the ones that are exclusively electric, and that would be the GV60, which was marketed only as an electric. And did I mention that the GV70, both the gasoline version and the electrified version, just so you know, is made in America? Yep, made in Alabama. Thought you might want to know that. They're looking now at improving the dealer experience. And you're saying, wait a minute, they've got dealers? Yeah, they've got roughly 225 dealers, most of which are co-partnered with Hyundai right now. But they're expecting in the years to come to have 100 standalone Genesis dealers across the United States. And I can hardly wait. Right now, I think the biggest challenge is being in a state or being in a market that has a Genesis dealer. Unfortunately, I live in Des Moines. We don't have one. I wish we did. It would make it a lot easier. However, talking about product plans for a minute, Genesis' first electric performance variant under their Magna sub-brand would be the GV60 Magna, and they're likely to land late next year. Did I mention that I drove just the regular GV60 with boost mode and a sport mode, and it's plenty fast? I'm scared of this. And that is one of the things I think people don't realize about the average electric vehicle. They're fast, and they're extremely responsive. So to take this thing up a notch, yikes. I don't know. You're going to be in like racing territory at this point. A 3-row electric crossover based on the Nederland concept, expected to be called the GV90, will roll out the brand's current portfolio of people haulers. If it's a GV90, then it will be above and probably larger than the current flagship, which is the GV80, which I just had one a few weeks ago. Still love it, though. I love the GV80. I thought it was a little too big for me. The GV70, though, is like porridge. It's just right for me. So while they're doing all this, they're looking at trying to engage more of the public because they do realize as they continue to grow, they're going to be coming up against all the competitors that I mentioned earlier, predominantly everybody from Volvo to BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, all that folks in there in that hyper competitive space. But honestly, Genesis brings something to the party that you're not going to replicate in any other vehicle in that realm that you choose to test drive. They've got a personality all their own. They've got a maturity and elegance that is uniquely Genesis. So as they're looking and improving the dealer experience and trying to link potential buyers more to the brand, all I'm going to tell you, if you are fortunate enough to be in a market with a standalone Genesis dealership, it is worth your while to take a Saturday and go. Drive everything. You will be blown away. You'll be impressed. And I'll be surprised if you don't end up buying one. They're that good. Like I said, their biggest challenge right now is just availability. You might want one. You may have to put your name down and actually order one. But I'm telling you, regardless of whatever you choose, it will be amazing. 8 days, 8 months. What's time worth in outer space? A Boeing Starliner update. We are the Tech Mobility Show. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. From 8 days to 8 months. That is the increase in time that the astronauts that arrived at the International Space Station this summer will have to endure. It's another black eye for Boeing, and they've already written off $1.6 billion that they've invested in the Starliner project already. This is an update. This is Topic C. Any test pilot will tell you, testing is hard, testing's unexpected, testing new vehicles can be dangerous and unpredictable. The Boeing Starliner, no exception. So these two astronauts signed on knowing that there could be quirks. I don't think even they were prepared for not just a couple weeks, but literally months. Here's the kicker. The Starliner, and maybe even by the time this segment of our program is broadcast, will detach from the International Space Station and return to Earth without them. It has the ability to do that without them. After a lot of recreation by NASA and Boeing engineers on the ground to find out why the Starliner malfunctioned the way it did and the things that have happened to it, they couldn't recreate it. So there was a lot of intense, and that's a polite word, back and forth between Boeing and NASA. Is it safe enough to bring the astronauts back home? Should we wait? NASA decided out of abundance of caution that the competitor crewing ship that is built and maintained by SpaceX, yes, Elon Musk, will be the vehicle that the astronauts will go home to. And bear in mind, during all of this time, the International Space Station has been getting supplies via SpaceX. But when the crew comes up here the next time towards the end of the month, there are 4 positions. They're going to leave 2 at home so that these 2 folks can go home. They're going to spend a little bit of time in space actually before they get back, so it rounds out to be 8 months, but it'll be 8 months. How did Boeing get it so wrong across so much of their business? Boeing has been regarded for millennia as the premier commercial aircraft military supplier in the United States, if not the world. Boeing aircraft were legendary for the advanced features, their quality, their reputation. The 737, one of the most successful planes Boeing ever made, even more successful than the 3-engine 727. Thousands of them in the air, bulletproof reliable. Then they developed the stretch versions they called the MAX, the 737-7 and -9 MAX. And then the problem started. Boeing is in a bit of a fit and wondering if they can turn the program around. The Starliner program, which was awarded by NASA in 2014, was designed to pay both Boeing and I believe SpaceX as well to develop a crewing ship that would move crews back and forth over time, and that single source contract was worth to Boeing $4.2 billion. And that is if Boeing met all the performance targets of what NASA pointed out, of what NASA wanted. Unfortunately, it also means that if Boeing decides to stay with the Starliner and not scrap or back out of the program, that they will be spending many more millions of dollars out of their own pocket before NASA pays them another dime to correct the deficiencies and provide test flights and documentation that it is safe. And this is the big deal, safety. Most people may not realize, and the reason why I know, is that my late dad was a master aircraft technician for a major U.S. airline. So our breakfast table conversations, he worked nights, was very elaborate about features and redundancies and the ebb and flow of keeping commercial aircraft in the air and running an airline and being in the line shack and fixing the problems when they come up or when a pilot pointed them out. My dad also told me a story once. He was working on a plane at night on his shift, and an FAA inspector came up to him, started asking questions. What's the part you're fixing? What does the part do? Why are you replacing the part? What will it achieve? If, as a master aircraft technician, you could not answer those questions to the satisfaction of the FAA inspector, you get written up. If you get written up 3 times, you're out. And in order for you to be a master aircraft technician for a major airline, you have to have what they call tickets issued by the FAA, your licenses, plural, with the FAA. And I remember when my dad, in the late 60s, went back to school under the GI Bill to learn this information and become masterful. He had to go a couple rounds in order to earn that. And I bring all that out because this is no small thing that Boeing has to deal with. They have that level of machinists developing their planes and engineers developing these systems. How could they have gone so wrong and gotten so sloppy? That's the big question. Part of that actually is on the FAA, because the FAA until recently had let companies like Boeing self-inspect and self-validate, and that's where things got sloppy. Boeing cut corners. Boeing took shortcuts, which if you ever saw the documentation required to launch a plane, repair a plane, you would just shake your head. It's not a matter of like fixing on your car. where you have that one system, and if that one system fails, if the ignition system fails, if the battery fails, if the spark plug fails, that's one thing. In flight, in space, if a system fails, and if the backup system fails to engage, it's life or death. It's success or failure, and that usually means human life and many billions of dollars lost. I mean, look at when Elon Musk was developing SpaceX and they were testing their engines and the success and failure rates and things that they were going through. It's not a game. It is not a industry for weaklings or people with thin pockets. Bottom line is that the astronauts agreed that this was the best way of approach, but they're going to lose a slice of their life. They're going to lose 8 months of their life being up there and not with their families. But they said it's better safe than sorry. And because Boeing could not satisfy NASA's concerns for the safety of the crew, it was agreed that they would come back another way and that they would send the Starliner home on its own. And hopefully maybe by now or within the next couple of weeks, we'll know if the Starliner made it back to Earth safely. And I certainly hope so. Because Boeing really can't afford another black eye. Really can't. Although I will say the new leadership at Boeing came from the state of Iowa and worked for a Boeing supplier. We've come to the end of our visit. Be sure to join us again right here next time. This has been the Tech Mobility Show.
The Tech Mobility Show is a copywritten production of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated.
For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast to iHeartRadio and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be, and we're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.